I just spent 3 days testing Higgsfield Cinema Studio 2.0, and I'm about to show you all of the things that it's great at and all of the places that it's broken. From cinematic quality to control to price. Buckle up because I'm about to get real honest. Higgsfield gave me access to this tool, so they're sponsoring this video, but believe me when I tell you that I'm not about to pull any punches, starting with their new image gen tools. Cinema Studio is a hero frame workflow, which means you have to start with images. I mean, you don't have to, but that's how it's designed. The first thing that you'll probably notice after the 2.0 update is that the camera and lens settings are now completely generic. It used to be specific cinema cameras and lenses with company names. What I imagine happened was the camera companies didn't really like that. But honestly, I actually think that it's better now than it was before. Here's why. I have experience with real cinematography on film sets, but even I couldn't tell you all the differences between an Arri Alexa and whatever Panavision film camera they had. Not to mention the lenses. Now everything is much more descriptive and it's way easier to know what kind of image you'll get from the generation, even as a beginner. Moving past that, Higgsfield launched 3 new major features on the image side of Cinema Studio 2.0. Elements for character consistency, a grid feature for multiple iterations, and a 3D reframing tool that looks insane. Let's start with the element tool, where you can create characters and objects and then reference them in generations just by tagging their element in the text box. It's a big ask, but it could be absolutely game-changing for AI filmmaking because it would allow you to use characters consistently across new shots without having them in the start frame. To test this out, let's take this farmer from one of my old generations and create a new one of him, like running from a werewolf. But I'm just going to tag the character here and give no other instructions, and he's not in a start frame. Wow, it actually got it. This is spot on. Look, if I take the tag out and just replace it with man, see, the result is totally generic. The elements feature is huge because it's available for video too, and I'm gonna test that in a minute. Now let's check out grid generation for photos. Supposedly, you're able to create up to 16 different photos in one generation, which is this 4x4 grid. And this honestly seems way too good to be true to me because it costs the same amount of credits as a single generation. So how am I getting 16 different images for the cost of one? We'll give it a shot anyway. Okay, well, yeah, that's basically what I expected. I chose the 3x3 grid and got 9 different images, but every one of these looks pretty much the same. And not a single one of them is nearly as high quality as doing a single image generation. So the grid feature, definitely a miss right now. Finally, the third big update on the image side is something that looks like it could be even more insane than either of these other tools. It's a 3D converter for images. The idea is I can just click here and generate a whole 3D scene that I can move through for shot reframing. I don't know. Okay, I'm gonna be honest. I've already tested this. It doesn't work. I mean, it does, but it doesn't. Let me explain. It did give me a 3D rendering of this image in a very low definition space, and I can move around with my mouse and keyboard to try to capture new angles. But after trying a front shot here and like a switched side angle and just one pulled further back, only one of them actually produced a shot, the other 2 of them failed, and the result that I got from the one that worked wasn't really any good either. We've got some phantom genes here, and it's practically the same angle as the reference shot with just some weird quirks to it. I mean, this has potential to be a really cool feature. It's a great concept, but right now you're just better off using Higgsfield's angles tools, which honestly works pretty well, and it gave me a number of new shots from all sorts of different angles of the scene, and all of these shots are in high quality. So Cinema Studio 2.0's image generation page is still great at what it does best, which is generating cinematic images as start frames for videos. But really only the element tool is worth your time right now. It's the only thing that actually kind of works, and it doesn't cost any credits, which is great. That said, images are boring. Video is really what Cinema Studio is all about, and I tested to see if Cinema Studio 2.0 is a worthy upgrade for multi-shot generations, dialogue, camera movement, speed ramping, and genre understanding. But first, I just need to come out and say it. Cinema Studio 2.0 is basically Kling 3.0. All the new tools and features are built around Kling. Now, as Seedance 2.0 releases and has many of the same features as Kling, then Higgsfield will probably integrate that model here too. But for now, this is Kling 3. The good news is Kling 3 is hands down the best video model out there right now, and Cinema Studio harnesses that really well, with only one notable shortcoming that I'll cover in a second. Kling's multi-shot workflow is here, but it's enhanced with Cinema Studio's auto features, so you don't need to describe every single shot. And of course, if you don't want a multi-shot sequence, you can just have a single shot too as well. I have to say though, if you go the manual multi-shot route, this interface for changing the duration of different shots is really smooth with this drag to resize, and you can even swap out the order of shots if you change your mind about how you want the whole scene to go. Doing this with the core Kling 3 interface is a lot more tedious. Higgsfield has also introduced a new speed ramping tool to control the playback of each shot, in case you want something dynamic with slow-mo or like an action impact. Plus they still have their cool camera control and movement settings, so let's test both of these out. I'm gonna animate this werewolf scene in two different ways. First I'll do one that's all auto, and then I'm gonna compare that to a second one where I manually control all of the shots. We'll add some slow-mo to the second shot here and also to the last shot, and then some handheld shake to the first two, and a dolly to the third, and maybe a jib up on the final one. And here's the results. First, let's take a look at the auto generation. This is really pretty good. I mean, it's Kling 3, so of course it just gave a great chase scene. Now here's the second generation, which I controlled. This one is great too. I actually think it's even better, but there is one major flaw. First, I want to point out that the generation actually followed my camera control inputs flawlessly. Both the first and the second shot here are handheld, the third is a perfect tracking shot on a dolly, and the fourth has a great jib up motion. This is definitely better and more accurate than what I saw in the previous 1.5 version of Cinema Studio, and I think that's all due to Kling 3. The one thing that it didn't really get at all though was the speed ramping inputs. Remember, this second shot here and the last one were supposed to go into slow motion at the end, but neither of them do. Let's try it again in single shot mode with a slow motion speed ramp to see if maybe it was just a glitch with multi-shot. Nope, still no speed ramp. I think maybe it's like a little bit slow across the entire shot, but it certainly isn't dynamic. I'm just not really ready to give up on it though, so what if we do like one other shot? This time I'll use a start frame of a motorcycle chase, and I'll have it start slow and then speed up and then go slow again. Oh, it's so close. It started slow and then it went fast, but it never went slow again. So I think it's safe to say that speed ramping is still like 50-50. Maybe it only works like 30% of the time. It's not all the way there yet. Now there's three other tools that I want to test before I give a verdict on Cinema Studio 2. Number one, Higgsfield has a new genre selector, and I want to see how these affect the output of the generation. Number two, can video generations actually keep a consistent cinematic style? Because there's no real reason to have like a really fancy cinematic start frame with all these lens elements if it just kind of forgets that style later on for the other shots of the generation. And number three, does the element feature actually work with video now? Because I was having some trouble when I was testing it just with Kling 3, so I'm interested to see if it works better with the Cinema Studio interface. To test all these things, I'm gonna generate three similar videos, and I wanna see if you notice where they each fall short and what they succeed in. If you already forgot what we're looking for, that's okay. There's a rewind button right down here. Okay, here we go.
You trespass in my kingdom. Return to the abyss, or be broken by the tide. You trespass in my kingdom. Return to the abyss. No, you trespass in my kingdom. Leave now or be destroyed.
I'm sorry. I don't know how I got here. I was just looking for the bathroom.
The what?
Okay, let's break this down. Shot one is just a simple action shot with dialogue. And honestly, it's a great generation. The only real issue that I noticed is that the lip sync goes out just a bit, which is just Kling's fault. It doesn't really have anything to do with Cinema Studio itself. But the other issue here is that this original style, which is sort of a Orby cinematic look, completely disappears after the first shot, which honestly isn't super surprising. The second shot here is much weirder. I had it set on multi-shot auto, but because I changed the genre to intimate, it only gave me one continuous shot. And I think that's what resulted in a lot more warping. Basically, the lesson here is that the genre settings actually do matter. It changes what your output's gonna be, so make sure that you get those genre settings right. And finally, with shot 3, this is sort of the comedic one. I actually just used the general genre, and you can see that it actually did try to replicate the warped appearance of the lens from our first frame, but yeah, it really didn't get it right. However, you probably noticed that with the element tool, I was actually able to introduce the farmer character in the second shot without uploading any start frame. This is a massive deal for AI video creation because it means that consistent characters across a bunch of different scenes for potentially the length of an entire feature film is now completely achievable. After all of these tests, I did notice one other weird thing about Cinema Studio 2. While it definitely uses Kling 3.0 for video generations, for some reason it limits you to a 12-second generation time instead of the 15-second one, which is the max for Kling natively in the video gen tool. Why? I have no idea. But if you need those extra 3 seconds, then you can always just go use Kling 3 directly. Now you might ask, why not just use Kling 3 on the video page to begin with? And yeah, you totally could, but Cinema Studio has a really nice interface that's way better than Kling's in my opinion, and it has a number of tools like genre selection and camera controls that aren't native to Kling 3. Plus, it's not any more expensive than Kling in the video page. Both models cost 2 credits per generation second, so a 10-second clip will cost 20 credits whether you use Kling directly or through Cinema Studio. Taking that into consideration, I think that this is a great tool, especially if you want more control without writing insanely detailed prompts. Is it perfect? Heck no, but hopefully now you've got a better understanding of what it can and can't do. And if you want to learn more about Kling 3, including its strengths and weaknesses, then you should watch this video that I created right up over here.